feels like one of those nights in Los Angeles when the city hums a little louder, when a rumor turns into a possibility you can almost touch, when history leans forward as if to hear its name. Welcome to Lakers News Fan Report, where you get fast updates, serious rumors, and deep, straight-to-the-point analysis about our Los Angeles Lakers, delivered in a voice that loves this team as much as you do. Tonight I'm taking you behind the curtain on Klay Thompson and the purple and gold, what the league is whispering, why the timing suddenly matters, how the basketball actually works with Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis, and Austin Reeves, what the numbers say, what the market says, what the locker room would feel. And I'll take you step by step, so by the time we hit the key moment, you'll understand exactly why this idea has juice again and why calling it pipe dream undersells the way the dots connect right now. Start with the path that brought us here. Last summer, Klay Thompson, one of the greatest shooters in NBA history, hit free agency and stood at a crossroad. The fit with the Lakers made sense on paper and in the heart. A franchise that needed high-volume, high-gravity shooting on the wing and a defender who understands playoff angles. A family line that runs straight through Michael Thompson, two-time champ here and still the voice riding shotgun on Lakers radio. And yet Klay chose Dallas on a 3-year deal, attracted by the runway to a title with Doncic and Kyrie Irving. That decision told you something about his priorities: compete at the highest level, play next to a heliocentric star, live in the games that matter in May and June. Anything that happens next has to speak that same language. Real shots at real banners, not a nostalgia tour. Now fast forward. The league moves fast. Dallas equation shifted. The Lakers equation shifted even more. Los Angeles doubled down on elite decision-making on the ball, built a system to keep the floor spread, and committed to stacking high IQ veterans around Doncic and Davis while empowering Reeves to be a third creator in lineups that emphasize Reeves over raw horsepower. And here's the twist only this league could deliver: the irony that followed Klay all year, choosing the path to play with Doncic in one jersey, only to watch Doncic's story collide with the Lakers. Later keeps looping back whenever people inside gyms talk about the next move for a veteran sniper who still bends defenses by just walking across half court. That irony is why the conversation refuses to die. Once you understand the current Lakers' identity, you also understand why Klay's game plugs in like a pre-cut puzzle piece. Let me paint that fit in basketball terms, because that's what decides playoff series. Picture a base half-court with Doncic initiating from the left slot, AD lifting to the elbow to screen, Reeves flattened weak side as a relief valve, and Klay stationed on the strong side wing. The first read is the classic two-man game. If the on-ball defender goes under, Luka fires. If he trails, it's pocket pass to a D on the short roll. Now insert Klay's gravity. The tagger who would normally stun off the strong side shooter is late by a half step because it's Klay, not a 35% spacer. That half step is the difference between a D catch at 15 feet with a clean 4-on-3 and a catch swallowed by traffic. Flip the alignment and run Spain action. Reeves screens a D's man. Klay sets the back screen on the low man, then sprints to the arc. Defenses have to choose between overhelping on a D at the rim or surrendering a practice shot 3 to a career 40% shooter with the best shot prep footwork of his generation. In the playoffs, these decisions compound. They don't just create points, they create rhythm, and rhythm creates trust. Now take it to the transition game. The Lakers, under a modern, spacing-friendly approach, have leaned into early drag screens for Luka and early seals for a D. Klay's presence changes the angles of those drags. The big can't sit below the level because the strong corner stunt is suicidal. The guard can't chase low because Klay's flare is already loading. You know those sequences where Doncic walks the ball up, raises his left hand, and casually fires a laser to the wing for a rhythm 3? Replace random shooter with Klay Thompson, and now you've seen that movie 100 times in another jersey. The difference is we be watching it at Crypto.com Arena with banners overhead. Defense matters, and we have to talk honestly about it. Klay isn't the same on-ball stopper he was pre-injury, but he remains a plus team defender with elite communication, a strong chest on switches, and the kind of off-ball discipline coaches beg for in April. The Lakers' best playoff defenses in the LeBron AD era or now. The Luka AD era, with LeBron's minutes carefully ramped as he returns, have thrived on clean tags. early top locks, and second effort contests. Klay slots right into that ecosystem. You will fight over a pin down. He will peel and scram. He will execute the peel switch when Luka gets 2 on the ball and a cutter flashes. And because his shot selection is typically clean, you're not defending runouts caused by wild heat checks. There's a second-order defensive value hidden inside his offensive identity. When your possessions are organized, your floor balance is organized. When your floor balance is organized, your transition defense holds. Now let's address the room. Age, role, and ego. If you watched the saga up north last year, the thing that cracked the relationship wasn't just dollars. It was the conversation around coming off the bench. This is the part where Los Angeles can actually give Klay clarity in a way that other places can't. The Lakers. Guard wing rotation is built on function, not labels. There are nights you start because the opponent's matchups demand your size and gravity. There are nights you close because your feel is hot and your corner is a magnet. There are nights you play 24 minutes and nights you play 34. That transparency is what veterans crave. It's not about status. It's about truth. And the truth is this. A 35-year-old Klay, who is fresh for endgames and series deciders, is a more valuable Laker than a Klay, who chases a symbolic starter tag in November and runs out of legs in May. Economics and mechanics. Let's be grown-ups. The Lakers aren't operating with infinite flexibility. We're living in an NBA where aprons and aggregation rules punish the sloppy. Any Klay conversation demands 3 things. Salary matching that doesn't get the rotation, a draft asset structure that doesn't handcuff future moves, and a willingness from all parties to prioritize fit over headlines. Could the framework be built around mid-tier salaries and a pick with protections? Could it live as an off-season reroute if timelines don't line up at the deadline? Those are the kinds of corridors people talk about. The critical piece is philosophic. If you're making this move, you're not doing it to win the press conference. You're doing it because Klay's gravity in the corners and on the wing is the single most valuable additive you can place around. Luka AD reads without compromising your identity. Tie that back to performance trendline because that's where optimism turns into conviction. Klay isn't just a spot-up guy. He's a mover. His conditioning and patterns chest-to-chest all floppy, veering into DHOs, ghost and pin downs into slip threes, are a nightmare in a series when a staff only has 48 hours to re-script coverages between games. And if you've noticed Doncic's comfort this year with quick-hitting touches, you already see the synergy. Luka draws 2, spins out. Klay's preloaded. The ball barely touches leather, and it's 3 points. The larger point is that we're no longer a team that needs a ball-dominating guard to eat possession. We're a team that needs a finisher who warps help. Klay is that finisher. He doesn't need 5 dribbles. He needs half a second of daylight. There's a human layer here too, and in Los Angeles that matters. Michael's voice is part of the soundtrack of this franchise. The Thompsons understand what it means to be a Laker. For a fan base that respects lineage, the idea of a father announcing a son's big nights in purple and gold lands in a place beyond box scores. That doesn't push a deal over the line, but it shapes the trust a veteran brings into a new room. And trust is the currency of ring runs. When you've got a D doing the dirty work at the 5, when Luka's brain is processing at 0.1 seconds per read, when Reeves is toggling between creator and spacer, you want guys who step into that ballet and know exactly where to stand and when to shoot without needing to be the story. Klay has lived that life. He has 4 rings because he has mastered that life. Now, let me pull all these threads to the moment you've been waiting for. All the smoke around this conversation comes down to alignment. The player wants a situation that maximizes winning and clarity. The team wants a shooter who changes geometry without changing who we are. The market wants numbers that pass the lab tests. Put that together, and you see why calls get made, why frameworks get sketched, why agents gauge appetite, why front offices ask their coaches to diagram minutes. That's not fantasy talk. That's how deals are born months before they become real. And that is why Klay Thompson to the Lakers has moved from nostalgia to a live basketball idea in league circles. The climax is simple and clean. If Los Angeles finds the structure that preserves depth, if Dallas, or a third team, finds value in the return, and if Klay embraces a role that's about closing power more than opening fanfare, the door is not just cracked, it's open enough for serious people to step through. What happens if it does? Night 1. You'll feel it in the sound of the building. The first time Luka rejects a screen and throws behind his head to the wing. The first time a D pins a defender, and Klay's man refuses to help an extra step. The first time Reed snakes a pick and roll and hits Klay on a relocation. You'll hear that LA murmur that means everyone in the building just recognized something true. Rotations tighten. Sets become simpler and sharper. The offense sheds the empty calorie possessions that have haunted this team at times. And the defense quietly gets smarter because a veteran who has been through 5 West Finals doesn't make the same ball-watching mistakes twice in a series. That's the value you don't see on ticker graphics. But you feel in a 6-game win streak in March and in a Game 5 that flips home court. I'm not romantic about risk. Klay is 35. Lower body miles are real. Legs and lift ebb and flow. There will be cold stretches. There will be matchups where you need more length or more burst and the rotation tilts to another wing. And the price matters. You can't burn your last future bullet here if the board tells you a bigger swing may arrive in July. But there's a reason I'm optimistic. This front office has spent the last year turning names into fits, stacking adults who amplify stars rather than compete with them. If you're going to bet on an aging shooter, bet on the one whose mechanics never waver, whose shot diet is clean, and whose mere presence creates 5 extra inches of oxygen for your best player every time he drives. That's Klay Thompson. Here's my concise read before I hand it to you. The basketball case for Klay in Los Angeles is airtight gravity. Timing, playoff shot making, no dribble kills, team defense, and a role that scales up without demanding oxygen the offense can't afford. The market case lives in the middle price, structure, timing, but it's not a fantasy, and the league knows it. If the numbers line up and the ego conversation is honest, this is a move that raises the Lakers' playoff ceiling without detonating the floor. Now, I want to hear you in the comments. Do you greenlight this pursuit if the cost is depth and a pick? Or do you hold the line for a younger two-way wing even if the shooting is less elite? Would you start Klay on opening night of a series, or slot him as the first closer off the bench and ride the hot hand? Give me your read on fit, price, and roll. And if you want every twist in this story as it develops, every call, every credible whisper, every schematic tweak that would make it sing subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report, hit the bell and share this with a Laker fan who still hears Michael's voice when the big threes drop. We'll keep bringing you the real stuff with the urgency of a fan and the clarity of a pro.